That was Covered in Luck from singer-songwriter Nili Hadida. Now, since 2006, she's been known as the voice of the extremely successful French folk duo Lilly Wood and The Prick, and now she's going solo. Her first album was released in October, the eponym Nili Hadida. Thank you so much for being on the show, Nili. Now, fans of Lilly Wood and The Prick will recognize your very unique voice on your solo album, 11 tracks, but the sound is very different. It's warmer, it's more soulful. What inspired you for this, your first solo album?
Everything that I've been listening to since I was a child, which is mostly soul music, a little bit of R&B and hip-hop, but mostly what I like to listen to is like Otis Redding or Aretha Franklin, and that type of references and music was missing to me in my previous act. So I was a bit frustrated about that particularly, so I tried to put it in this new project.
You guys were very prolific with Lilly Wood and The Prick. You released 3 studio albums. You won lots of awards here in France. You played hundreds of shows, and then you achieved, of course, international fame with your song Prayer in C, a remix by Robin Schulz, which sold millions of albums. Did you need to take a step back from all that and focus on something more personal?
It was so weird, because when the remix started playing on the radios, we were in Africa. We were in Bamako.
Oh, wow.
And we were really struggling. We were making our 3rd album, and it was hard, and it was awesome, but it was, you know, difficult conditions for making an album. And then everybody was calling us and being like, yeah, you know, this song of yours on the radio, you're everywhere. And we're like, what are you talking about? And we came back to Paris, and it was huge. And what's funny is that we had nothing to do with it in a way, because Robin Schulz had the remix out without our permission at first. And then it got so big, we got in contact with him, and then, you know, made a sort of deal because it was our song. And then, and thanks to him, then we traveled the world.
And did you need to kind of take a step back from that at one point and focus on your own material?
No, you never really take a step back, because even before that, we'd been on tour for almost 10 years, and you're kind of in this
whirlwind.
Yeah, it's, you know, I used to say that you live life like through a window, because you're always in a bus, you know, traveling and everything. So I think taking a step back for me was quitting the band, and, you know, that was 2 years ago, and taking time to digest everything that we'd been through, and that's how this album was born.
Well, we're going to listen to a track off your new album. It's called It's Me.
Why would you be my enemy? It's me. I was there when your mom was sick, and all alone. It's me and you. This is us. This is we.
So tell me a little bit more about how you made this album. It's a real labor of love, because you actually financed it yourself, if I understand correctly. And also you didn't record in a traditional studio, which I find interesting.
No, I kind of hate studios, because I feel like they're never your own. I feel like they're like a public toilet in a way. Like, it's been used, you know? So what I like to do is renting a house that's, if possible, very close to nature, like to the woods or something, and like emptying it out, and then bringing in all my gear, and then being alone. And what I did for this one is I was all alone for the week, and then for the weekend my sound guy would come and kind of record every bits that I've been writing during the week, and then, you know, little by little we patched it together and it became the album. And also the reason why I don't have any money anymore is because I had this fantasy of living in a hotel. You know, like this French singer called Paul Naref.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I rented a suite.
Amazing.
In a 5-star hotel in the middle of the Forêt de Chantilly. It's a forest in France, near Paris. And I just emptied out one of the rooms in the suite, and I lived in the hotel for a month.
Sounds extravagant.
And I was making music, and it was like in a movie, but then...
well, it was worth the investment, right?
I'm not sure.
And tell me about the creative process, because you were working in Lilly Wood and The Prick, with Benjamin. What is the creative process like when you're doing a solo album?
There were always tracks that I would write on my own in Lilly Wood and the Prick, so I know how to write a song.
Sure.
And there's two sides to it. It's really nice not to have to make any compromise at all. So like any weird idea that I have, I can put down, and I have a lot of those, so that's good. But then also sometimes you feel alone, which you are, but you know, I can't start whining because I'm all alone, but because I decided to be. So it's just. It's nice, and sometimes it's a bit lonely.
Yeah, I guess
overall,
two sides of the coin. Yeah. And you also partnered up with some geniuses in the music industry, right? You got to work with the producing duo Christian Rich, also the mixing engineer Jimmy Douglas. So these are people who have worked with Timbaland, Justin Timberland, Bjork. How did that collaboration come around?
Well, Christian Rich, we share an editor, a publisher.
Yeah.
So I contacted them through that, and they're from Chicago. They live in Berlin now. They're very hip. They're used to being in the city, blah blah blah. And I was like, well, what I want you guys to do is come with me for 10 days in this house in the middle of nowhere. So they came to the French countryside, and like they'd never seen cows up close, you know, and like we're surrounded by cows, and we had 10 days to finish producing the album. So basically, we didn't sleep for 10 days, and
just hung out with cows, though.
I hung out with cows, and it was really, really nice. And then I had this dream of mixing the album with Jimmy Douglas, but I never thought that it would happen. So I contacted his agent myself, and he was like, yeah, Jimmy loves the song, he'll do it, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, cool. And then the date was coming up where I was supposed to fly to Miami, and I had no news. And I was like, well, you know, guys, tell me if I'm coming or not, blah, blah, blah. And then his agent was like, yeah, Nili, you know, it's okay. He's just finishing up Jay-Z's album, but he'll be with you right after that.
You're going on tour, right? You have a concert in Paris. This is going to be on the 23rd of January. If you're in town, do check it out. And you've arranged your album for a live show. How's that work?
Yeah, because it was not complicated enough. So no, because the album was finished about 2 years ago, and it took some time to come out. So by the time it came out, I wanted it to be new to me, because I wanted it to deliver it in a very fresh way. I wanted it to be exciting to me for it to be exciting for people.
Sure.
And I love wind instruments because Otis Redding, because Aretha Franklin,
the soul.
Blah. So I decided to have 5 of them on stage with me, and so I had to rearrange the whole album.
Well, that sounds amazing. I can't wait to hear it live as well. Now, we're going to move on to some other music news that's making headlines, and there was a big win for Bohemian Rhapsody. This is at the 2019 Golden Globes. The Queen biopic picked up the award for Best Motion Picture, beating out A Star is Born, Black Panther, and Black Klansman. Bohemian Rhapsody is the highest grossing music biopic of all time, and Rami Malek won Best Actor as well for his performance as Freddie Mercury. Here he is commenting on his victory.
There's only one thing we needed to do, and that was to celebrate Freddie Mercury in this film. He is a marvel. There is only one Freddie Mercury, and nothing was going to compromise us giving him the love, celebration, and adulation he deserves.
Now, Bohemian Rhapsody's big win came as a surprise because the favorite was A Star is Born, which only went away with one award, the Best Original Song for the track Shallow. Other winners include Glenn Close, Best Actress for a Drama for her role in The Wife, Emily Blunt, Best Actress in a Comedy or Musical for her role in Mary Poppins Resumes, and as for the Best Foreign Film, it was the film Roma. Now, we're going to move on to something completely different. The lineup for this year's Coachella Festival has been released, and the headliners include Childish Gambino, Tame Impala, and Ariana Grande. There will also be a sprinkle of French touch with performances by artists the likes of Chris, Jane, and Charlotte Gainsbourg. And how about you?
And Polo and Pan.
And Polo and Pen.
Which are really good.
Good to know. And how about you? What are your summer plans?
They're gonna call me tomorrow to add me to the lineup, I'm sure.
But you have festival plans for the summer?
Yeah, a couple of festivals, but they're not announced yet, and they'll be mostly in France.
Okay, we're looking forward to hearing that music news. And we're going to wrap up with some country music news. Country music fans have been impatiently awaiting the release of Randy Houser's 5th studio album. Magnolia was initially due out in November, but mysteriously delayed to January 11th. Now, it turns out the country star has another trick up his sleeve. Along with the record, he's actually launching a feature film also called Magnolia, based on the music from the album and featuring several performances by the singer. He actually plays a bartender in the movie. Looks pretty good. Now, we've come to the end of the show, but before we go, I want to thank our guest, Nili Hadida. Thank you so much for being with us. Please be sure to check out her solo album. I definitely recommend it. It's great. It's called Nili Hadida. Now, for more arts and culture news, head to our website. And, of course, you can stay in touch on social media. Stay tuned to France 24. There's more news coming up right after this, and we're going to play you out with a track from Randy Houser's album, Magnolia. It's called What Whiskey Does.
I know tonight I'm gonna light one up and sit right here. I'm gonna drink this whole